I've been waiting for this moment my entire life, literally since the moment I was born. We finally have concrete rumors from Ross Young, who's very accurate, by the way, that a new 15-inch MacBook Air is rumored to launch in April. Ross Young said he expects the new MacBook Air to launch in early April, given that display production is already starting. But it could be formatted with an earlier event and a pre-order and then later ship dates. Like, for example, in 2021, when the new iMac and the new iPad Pros came out, there was like a month between the announcement and when they were actually shipping. So we could be looking at something like that here. But the big important factor is that Ross Young is saying that the production is underway for the 15-inch MacBook Air. And that's a big deal because Ross Young is extremely accurate. Let's just run through some of the things that he accurately leaked. He predicted that the iPhone 13 Pro would have ProMotion. He predicted that the new MacBook Pros would have ProMotion. He predicted that the 6th generation iPad mini would have an 8.3-inch display. He predicted that the current MacBook Air would have a 13.6-inch display. I think he also correctly predicted that the Studio display would have a 27-inch panel that's basically shared with the old iMac. Like, the list goes on and on and on. And so, when Ross Young says this display is entering production, that means this thing is coming soon. And it's not just Ross Young who's saying this. Bloomberg has also reported multiple times. Ross Young has confirmed multiple times that this is coming. These are rumors that have dated back over a year, and I don't mean to brag, but I think this is all thanks to me, because I've been spending the last 7 months building a website with Squarespace, who isn't even this video's sponsor, but let me just tell you that I've been building that website to convince Apple to make a 15-inch MacBook Air, and I think it worked, because here we are, they're gonna do it. Now, there is some confusion as to how this MacBook would actually be positioned. Ross Young and Bloomberg have both referred to it as a 15-inch MacBook Air, and the implication sort of is that it would be exactly the same design as the current MacBook Air, but just a little bit bigger. Back in March 25th of 2022, Ross Young tweeted that the 15-inch MacBook Air would be 15.2 inches, and he correctly tweeted right below that the 2022 MacBook Air would be 13.6. But as pointed out by 9to5Mac, Ming Chi Kuo has reported on the 15-inch MacBook, but he was saying that it won't be a MacBook Air and just be a MacBook. Okay, so it makes sense that Apple would want to split this 15-inch model away from the regular MacBook Air. However, a new report that just came out a couple of minutes ago from DigiTimes says that a new MacBook Air is set to launch next quarter. Now, what's interesting here is that they say the first quarter of 2023 is expected to see Apple's MacBook shipping low, but the second quarter will see the release of a new MacBook Air series, according to industry sources. Now, the use of the word series there really catches our attention, especially after yesterday's reporting of a 15-inch MacBook Air. Series could very well mean 13 and 15. Okay, so a lot of questions are answered here. These reports are lining up, which is great. However, there is still a big question that these all raise. It's great that we now have an inkling that Apple is working on a 13 and 15-inch MacBook Air coming out in a couple of months. However, what chip is going to power it? Because if this is a new series, as claimed by DigiTimes, that means it's probably going to be a 13 and a 15-inch MacBook Air being updated at the same time. And that sort of implies that there would be a new chip as well. Because, I mean, what would you possibly update on the 13-inch MacBook Air? It would be exactly the same. And then it would be weird because you'd be releasing a 15-inch MacBook Air with the chip from almost a full year ago. I mean, April is 10 months after the M2 chip came out. So it seems weird that we would be still getting machines using it that late in the cycle. So, what does this tell us? Well, we know that TSMC is working on a smooth ramp throughout 2023 to increase their 3nm volume. In the Q4 2022 earnings call, TSMC's CEO offered a lot of details, including saying that the N3 node has started production and that yields so far are pretty good. Though he also noted that towards the later half of the year, demand is going to outpace supply. One of the things that they also released was this helpful roadmap for the rollout of these chips. So you can see at 2022, they're still on 3 different node designs. The N4P, which is sort of an adjustment to the 5nm node. That's what we saw with the M2, the M2 Pro, the M2 Max. All of those chips are on N4P. They're still making some of the older N6 chips, but I don't think Apple uses those, though I might be wrong. But you can see that we're also starting N3, and as we go into 2023, 2024, and 2025, it's really heavily leaning on those chips. For the end of 2023 and into 2024, you can see they're going full steam. They're basically only focusing on 3nm, and that leads into 2025 when we start to see N2. So this is interesting, right? We've got a lot of these things aligning. 3nm is ramping up. 15-inch MacBook Air is entering production, and WWDC could be the place for all of these things to converge. I know Ross Young said that a new MacBook Air is likely to come in early April, but to my mind, it makes a little bit more sense, given that 3nm is ramping up, for Apple to take a couple of months to start building these things. Well, the yields are smaller and there's less chips to go around. Take a couple months, build that supply, release at WWDC. That's a full year after the M2 chip. It's a perfect time to announce the M3. So this is definitely exciting. I have been wanting this 15-inch MacBook Air for such a long time. I think it's going to be a fantastic form factor. I can't wait. Let me know what you guys are most excited for in the comments down below. And of course, make sure to get subscribed and leave a like on this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.